Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacie Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello, and welcome to the Franchise Life. This episode is sponsored by CO Samba. Today, we have Mark Amery from Puddle Pool Services. Welcome, Mark.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, so I love having the founders on. I love a good founder story because each one is unique. So let's give us the backdrop of your background and how Puddle Pool Services came to be.
Sure. Yeah. So I started in the franchise world about 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago-ish. Kind of like everybody just fell into it. I was always in the home service space my entire life. I started my own first company, which was a pest control company when I was like 20 or 19, 20. I was younger. I'm 47 now, so trying to like that far back. I started my own company then and then sold it. And then I had another home service company, started that and or sold that one. And then I got into, I went to a seminar and it had a gentleman, Jim Tree Living, and he was doing a speech on franchising and just, it just kind of like ticked some of my boxes. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so I thought my next one, I was going to venture into that. I really liked that. The space just sounded great. I just thought franchising was just, McDonald's or whatever. But then I started, I launched my first home service franchise brand. We had 3 or 4 in Canada, and then to fruition and over the time, Puddle developed because of the industry itself. So that's kind of how I fell into franchising, and Puddle started from being in the home service space and seeing the lack of, I don't know the nice word to use it, but to clean it up maybe a little, made it a little more tech savvy. So, but anyways, that's how Puddle came to be.
So I think I read that you actually started your first business when you were 13 years old.
My mom likes to tell everyone. That was, so, yeah, I actually started working. Yeah, my parents came from Ireland, England. They came over, and so they were used to out of the house at 15, 16. So I went to work when I was 13. And I worked at Tim Hortons is a big, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with it. So Timmy's, I started working when I was 13 and because my parents knew one of the managers or something. And then I started doing night shift there when I was like 14 or 15 on the weekend. So, and then I did my own candy floss thing. So yeah, I was young. So I think I might've had that bug. I think we're all kind of built the same.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Puddle Pool Services was established in 2018, first started franchising in 2022. And how many territories have you grown to today?
Yeah, good question. So we started in Q4 of 2022. So going into 2023, we ended with 12 last year. And then this year to date, we have 39 so we'll probably end with close to 40, 41, 42, hopefully 50. But yeah, we have 39 on the charts now. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So let's dive into puddle pools.
Okay.
So give us the high level overview of what Puddle Pool Service is.
Sure. So Puddle Pools is a residential and commercial pool, hot tub spa, and water feature maintenance company. We do like your weekly regular maintenance for commercial, like hotels, motels, apartments, townhomes, multi-units, all that fun things, as well as homeowners, residential. That would be the meat and potatoes, would be the reoccurring weekly services. If you have a pool, do you have a pool? You must have a pool.
I do have a pool, and it amazes me. So we have it serviced every Wednesday, and our pool guy has grown. He does the neighbor across the street. He does our next door neighbor, and he spends less than 15 minutes on our pool. Now, granted, we don't have a big pool, but it's really a 15-minute service, and we pay him weekly.
Yeah, and that's because the chemicals only last for about a week, and then it goes green, right? So aesthetically, it has to be done weekly. So He's right. Like that's the meat and potatoes would be that regular reoccurring service. Then off that, we also do vinyl liner installs. We do safety covers, pump repairs, installs, leak detection, right all the way up into fiberglass pool installs themselves. So we do. I like to say everything, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it absolutely seems like it. So you already mentioned, I love a business that has the recurring revenue. This is a home-based business model, very low overhead. I mean, really, you're investing in a truck or a van of some kind, right? You need a vehicle for your supplies and
Yeah.
uh, does it require any warehouse space or is that just dependent upon the person, their location?
No, yeah, that's probably one of the most favorable with home service is we try to keep the overhead at zero, right? Like when I say we, it's our team. We've had the same leadership team for over 10 years, so everybody knows the space well. Keeping, running it from home, not having zero overhead, zero, you don't have to have a shed or a storage locker to keep anything. Everything is done remotely and having the ability to run it from anywhere. Like I could run where you are from where I am if a tech was in place, exactly the same. So having that ability to work really from anywhere and have zero overhead in short of the vehicle and the reoccurring, vehicle, gas and insurance. But we want to keep our margins really, really high. So
And just to put that into perspective from where you're located versus me, I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida,
yeah.
and you're in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, from far away. So but you can really, we have one owner that goes to Sri Lanka 4 or 5 times a year. We have another gent who has 2 territories. He just bought another territory 5 hours away. So it really opens up those doors.
So let's talk about, on that note, then you mentioned a technician. So this can be an owner operator model, or it can be an executive model or semi-passive. I mean, we use those terms interchangeably sometimes in the industry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, well, give me the breakdown on both the owner
Sure.
operator and what that staffing profile looks like versus an executive model.
Sure. Yeah, so we're kind of in and you're right, we're in a space where even starting as owner operator, it morphs really quickly into exec within months. So it's kind of I think it just depends on the type of person. Myself, I need to I gotta feel things to make sense. I need that. And some people do not. So we have probably half of our locations start off as owner operator, then morph into exec right away. Again, owner operator. Well, maybe I'll hop on executive because that's kind of
Sure.
the standard. So usually prior, you would hire a technician, right? And from there, the admin role or exec role would be the manager. Sorry, so they would be the high level, like the relationships, property managers, realtors, that kind of thing. And then the technician, not only the day to day in the field doing the service, but they are trained heavily on sales and new sales, add-on sales, that type of thing.
And so, from a technician standpoint, what type of experience do they need? And or do you provide in-house training?
Yeah, great question. That always comes up, and we actually don't hire from the pool service field at all. We hire from the customer service field, like your restaurants, fast food, grocery stores, coffee shops. That like I would say two of our highest performing technicians are from QSR, two girls from fast food, and they understand because they understand the systems. They're used to working with the public. They're not afraid to shake a hand, and they also understand the incentive bonus, the add-ons. So that's who our field is, and we can go from 0 to hero in 6 days through our LMS or training. Everything is in-house.
I love that. 0 to
I
hero.
shouldn't say zero. That's not very nice, but you know what I mean. From no
Oh,
experience
from
to
no
yeah,
knowledge.
ready to roll. Yeah, I don't know. That sounded really bad, so I didn't mean that. But
No, I took it a
yeah,
positive way. So,
yeah. So from
um,
not knowing anything to ready to roll in the truck, servicing, get ready to go in 6 days. So
so okay, I can wrap my head around not having any experience in this space. I can certainly wrap my head around the pool cleaning, the hot tub cleaning, from going from zero knowledge to being able to, be a rock star in that field. But when it comes to like vinyl liner replacement, fiberglass pool installs, I mean, that's a whole nother level of expertise, right? I understand the meat and potatoes is the cleaning, the service, and so forth.
Yep.
But when these other services come into play, how do your owners handle that?
We just guess. We just try and figure. I'm just kidding.
Oh, geez. I was gonna...
We just wing it, and it might happen. No. We have in our ops team, in our ops, our leads, we have Corey and Michael, who Corey actually runs a division nationally for Canada and the US, and has a long history of providers with fiberglass pool installs. So our leadership team would help it. Say Stace wanted to have a pool, the Puddle rep would say, "Here's your selection," almost like buying wallpaper. I'm dating myself, but you know what I mean. They show a display book. Here's what it looks like. You can have a kidney shape, this or that, and then our back end would set up everything as far as the digs, the permits, the electrical, the plumbing on the back end that's being done in the background for the franchise partner and the homeowner. So it's kind of done from the leadership side to assist the franchise partner. So, but you're right. You couldn't just, we use an 80-20 rule. They know 80% of the service, and the other 20 you have to learn on site. But you're certainly not coming out of training, putting in fiberglass pools and none of that. But we do have locations in 3 months. We have a gentleman in London who's put in 3 fiberglass pools, right? So because you have that, it's not, there's no real guesswork. Everything's kind of set out for them.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned you have the residential and then the commercial side. What for a mature location? What does that breakdown in revenue look like from one to the other?
Sure. Yep. So year one is usually a 90-10 or 95-5. I'd say 90-10 is probably fair. They're just two totally different markets. Like the residential is all, it's a digital play. It's a, door to door, that kind of thing, as opposed to the commercial, which is all relationship based. And that's where that high level comes in with the franchise partner. So we want to make sure they can, crawl before they walk, before they run, before they sprint. So we actually don't turn on that marketing program. Our teams don't until 30 to 40 days into their launch. So it's super strategic, but it is a different monster.
Yeah, but when you look at, residential is easy to wrap your head around, right? It's homes with pools. But when you start looking at the commercial space, it really, you have hotels, you have schools, you have fitness facilities, apartments, condo associations. There are so many opportunities in that space as well. And these are, usually weekly or biweekly visits, correct?
They're actually daily. And in
Daily.
some because it's classified as public. So it has to be tested at least once a day. In some zips, it's twice a day they want it tested. So that's where that revenue, and that's where I say it's a different monster. A pool is a pool is a pool. The pool looks the same. The system might be a little bigger. Water comes in, water goes out. It's the same thing. It's just the process is different, like dealing with property managers and that flow is different than dealing with a homeowner. And also, they're very heavily governed because it's a public pool. Someone could get sick, so they need to make sure that they're being tested daily. The levels are right. It's being cleaned. There's log reports. So we're able to wrap all that up into our app, Puddle Power, which does everything digitally for them. It shows them videos, pictures of it being done. So the PMs, the help, or they really, really appreciate that. So that's what's lacking in the space. So, but yeah, so it is, when we talk about the revenue, you have to be ready for it, is because when you need a service somewhere, the tech 7 days a week or 5 days a week, yes, the revenue is, 5 to 10x, but also the service side is as well. So,
wow, I had no idea it was that free.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the support. You've already mentioned a few things. Certainly, when you get into that 20% of the pool installations and so forth, that your leadership team will come in and help with. But from a corporate standpoint, what type of support do you have for your franchise partners?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love talking about the team because, one guy said, you guys have too much support, like, which is a good
It's
thing. I
not
think
even
so.
possible.
But yeah, it is. So we have, so from the franchisee side, so we have a weekly GSR that they make. It's a weekly coaching call, setting goals to make sure there's no pain points along the way. We have 4 monthly roundtables that we run. We run a power hour, run a business growth hour, run a social media hour, and we have a generic roundtable itself. So those are not mandatory. There's 2 that are mandatory. So there's always something. We have quarterly regional meetings. We have annuals. We have so the amount of support is nobody. Like, our rule is nobody's failing. Like, just to kind of pop about all of our other brands and kind of, close to 100 units through all the, and 0 fails, 0 close downs for that reason. Because if you don't have, somebody said it's not the person, it's the system, right? If our systems aren't bang on and T's crossed and I's dotted, then something will slip. So the technicians in the field, they have a help me button. They can press that. It goes to one of the ops people on staff at all times. Can help them live. We have videos, we have movies. There's a WhatsApp chats, there's tech chats. There's a little bit of everything. So everything's covered. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And then you have partnerships as well. So, I mean, this is a very, it's a service-based business. You need product. So share a little bit about the partners that you have in place for your franchise partners as well.
Absolutely. So it's in each sector. So we deal with, we'd say vendor direct. They're not purchasing from us, and we put 10% on and sell it back to them. And, fine, that model's okay, but we're a heavy believer and they deal with the vendor direct. Our job is to make sure that the vendor and suppliers and partners that we have are giving everyone the best price, the best service, the best product. So all of our partnerships within our sectors, like our leak detection, our vinyl liner, I can't give you their names or I'd have to kill you. And then the covers and the chemicals allow for them for that same day service, as well as, more importantly, the chemicals, having preferred pricing, order it through the app, not having to actually call in. We can do everything through e-format, and they can order it, text, pick it up, and away they go. So everybody is always, they don't have to, I have to go to the supplier and I have to wait there. I have to get this. Everything's kind of ready to go. Or they can have it shipped right to their house, almost like Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Mark, from one of the biggest, I mean, this whole business model thrives on customers, right? So how does your team assist franchise owners with lead acquisition or client acquisition strategies?
Yes. So we do everything in-house. So we have our own in-house marketing teams. We have PPC, digital, SEO, and social media teams, as well as we have print as well. We have one of our gents is all day, every day, creating posts and creating collateral and creating for every single site, every single location. If they needed something, say like they're going to sponsor a flea market and they needed a 20-foot banner or something, and here's the specs, our team would create all that for them. From that, all of that call, all the calls, the collateral, everything goes out in the world will fall through our call center. Call center takes all the calls, uploads them into the system, lets them know immediately how it's going. They get to hear the call. They get to, so it's really, really, the support on that end is that we don't want them doing any marketing, really. Most people join a franchise. I'm not a marketer, right? That's I talk about the team. We have 3 Tylers in one section, T1, T2, and T3. One handles social. Yeah, it's probably the most confusing part of Puddle is the amount of Tylers we have. But those type of things are everything is kind of done from our DFY approach, done for you. So they're not expected to anything. We want them to kind of run their area, build those relationships, and keep that community feel.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, I'm in Florida. This would be a year-round business, right? But I'm originally from Iowa, so which is a very seasonal market. So how do you talk a prospect through that lives in a seasonal market and may have concerns about that?
Yeah, so that's another good point. It's actually, it works in our favor because, starting in Canada, and of 18, they can talk to 18 of the locations here that experience like one of the coldest areas. We have Ottawa is probably one of our highest producing territories, right? They're doing over 140K a month. If I'm allowed to say that. But so having that seasonality, all of those primary locations that experience the four seasons, right? Your openings, your closings, your regular service, and then what do we do through the winter? That's always the next question: is what do we do then? Because we are with Puddle, we do open the world to commercial. That's year round, right? So like if you have most apartments will have an indoor pool or an outdoor pool, indoor sauna or something, even a water feature. Even if you walk through the mall or plaza and you see these big water fountains, like Puddle would take care of those as well. So it really, once they get into the discovery portion of our process and they talk with our franchise partners, and we tell them, say, talk to everybody and ask them whatever you like, and they'll tell you what it's like in the winter. And most of our locations, not most, but a good chunk of our locations are busier in the winter, almost planning for the ongoing season than they are in the summer. So
Some of the due diligence I've done on my own as well, because that when I do talk to prospects about seasonal markets in industries like this, there always is that concern. Well, I'm only going to be generating revenue for half the year, right? Well, that's absolutely not the case. And so I love how you phrase that. And I love that where you guys started and how it validates as well in the seasonal markets.
yeah, it's cold here, It's kind of
Actually, it's been cold here too. It's been in
I
the
know, yeah.
60s.
Yeah, you should see our WhatsApp chat. We have the folks in Florida sending pictures. Oh, here's what we have our guy from the villages sending himself in shorts. Then we have our other guys that are taking their kids sledding. So it's kind of, you get that whole thing. But I miss all of that.
Okay. So your investment level for a single territory, total investment is between 95,000 and 118,000 with a
Yes.
royalty of 7%.
Yes.
I love that you have an item 19. So what can you share publicly with us without getting in trouble about
Yeah.
potential ROI?
Yeah. So I can give you right from the FTD. So when we're looking at our nets are an average of 28.53% net. In the FTD, we have P&Ls. Yes, we have average tickets. I don't know how far you want me to dive into it, but it tells a great story and it opens the margins are fantastic with an average of, close to 30. This year's FTD will be even better because we'll have more than, 3 or 4 P&Ls in there. We'll have about 15, 20. You can really see those numbers. So they're very high margins, low overhead. And when you're looking at each vehicle, I should say a point, a common question is how many vehicles can you fit in a territory, right? And that will give you those, and I don't know if you want to get into that later, or I can leave it at that, but that will give you that shows people really what those margins look like and what the availability is to scale. And that's the part where folks get excited. I like doing the entire process. I always say the UE call is kind of a boring call. It's a numbers call, but it's probably the most important call. But after that, then we go back to the fun stuff, and it kind of puts everything together. But to hop back on your item 19, yeah, there are some really nice margins in there and good P&Ls for everybody too. Again, I don't want to say anything that's going to get me arrested, but
No,
what I mean?
don't.
It's kind of like
I know where,
yeah.
this is very volatile territory here. We have to stay within certain guidelines.
Exactly.
But the UE, you mentioned the UE tool. So that for our listeners, that's unit economics. And that typically is a spreadsheet that the brand will provide that is pre-populated with some metrics. And it allows for owners to be able to plug and play different numbers based on the business model and kind of build a pro forma for themselves.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, no. So the 28% number, that was net, right? EBITDA?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, those are fantastic. Just shy of 30%. That's fantastic.
Yeah. like our job one is like I always tell everybody on the calls, and I am part of the process. I like this part. Because it's like if we were on a first call, it's like you're getting married, right? You're going to be in a 10-year term with them. You want to make sure they're going to jive with the system. So I'm always on the first, second, third calls. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but when you talk about the unit economics going into validation and so on, but yeah,
So, Mark, from the time a new franchise partner signs a franchise agreement to the ability for them to open their doors, what does that time frame look like, and what are they accomplishing in that time frame?
yeah. So it is roughly, you can have as close to 6 to 8 weeks to launch. We always time it as well. Like right now, we have everybody launching. We're not going to launch everybody till March of 2025. That's just just call it in the pool where it's a slippage month where people are trying to get a hold of pool people. They can't. So it's a great month to start. So usually 6 to 8 weeks. Within that time, we have 3 parts of training. We have our that's where we're getting everything ready, the checklist, the vehicles, the wraps, all of that fun stuff. And then we have our virtual training, which is a week. They do it at their own pace. There's 3 days connected with a puddle partner. And then we have our live training, which is a Monday to Friday. So it's a 5-day in person, and then they're ready to go. On the back end, right now, our team is already working on all of the content for all the US. So we're going to Florida, Texas, Arizona. We're uploading it to the site. They make sure it's Google friendly and backlinking and all that fun stuff. So we want to make sure we don't actually turn on their marketing 30 days prior to them starting. So we want it's a nice flow. So those calls start to come in and drip, and they really turn on 2 weeks prior to their in-person. So we're actually booking jobs and vehicles prior to them starting. So when they go back on the Monday, that technician's ready to go, churning and burning. So
I love it. That's awesome. All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This is fun. I love your branding. It's a fun, essential service, recession resistant, always going to be needed, recurring revenue. So it embodies so many positive attributes. So
thank you.
yeah. So, Mark, thank you for being with me. For anybody that is interested in learning more about Puddle Pool Services, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.